today, and welcome back for some more environment art development. Let's get the starting visual of the screen here, and we can get the ball rolling on this. So as always, do let me know if my audio levels are somehow less than optimal. I think we are pretty good here, at least looks so on my end. But do let me know if I am mistaken and the music is too loud, or I am too loud, or whatever. So today we're gonna continue basically exactly where we left off last time. I don't have like a huge, big sort of new concept to present today or anything like that. I just have this environment redesign thingy that I'm working on currently. Last time we did this cliff here next to the ruined house, right? We did basically this, taking it from the old art style, which you can see here. Still, this very weird and kind of angular, plasticky looking thing, which was the art style I went with when I originally designed this level. And this doesn't really look like anything, so over time I've kind of taken it more in this direction, and here is now the one I'm going with for this demo level. So I'm trying not to make like super big changes here, but I'm basically taking this very angular and plasticky looking style of these cliffs and making them look more like, you know, true low poly cliffs, and look at least like a little bit like cliffs, right? Just like a little bit. I think it fits the art style pretty well, while still being kind of fast to make. And so since last time I've spent some time continuing doing basically the same thing. So we have like this cliff here is now done. We have this cliff here is now done. This one is kind of a work in progress. We're going to continue with this guy here. You can see that it actually doesn't have any textures. It's just a single colored. Uses like a blockout material. And we have some grass clipping through here, which we're gonna have to actually fix as well. Now, because I'm using duplicates of some of these cliffs, just from me redesigning these cliffs, we actually have quite a few other here fixed as well. So this one here is one such duplicate, which just uses the same cliff as another one of those. So that one is done. We have this one is done. This is the one I did before starting that one, which is now kind of a work in progress. That one is done. This one is done. You see, like these big cliffs here still use the old strange looking angular things. So I'm gonna have to redo those. But these smaller cliffs that are kind of like living here in the center of this valley, these are done. That one as well. And so yeah, we basically have like this cliff here to do, and we have this whole refinery thing, which may be like the next thing that we're gonna actually start tackling here. This might be something that I start looking at actually this stream. Would be kind of nice to get this refinery mountain, because this is sort of like its own thing, right? This individual little mountain or mountain top here, with all of this using the old style still. And then when we have that, then we have basically just like this end of the level thingy here, to like these level borders. We have they are quite large, so there's actually quite a lot to do, right? But they're easier in certain ways, because like the player never actually goes on top of those. So in some ways they're actually easier. Oh, this one is actually Yeah, I think we could actually replace this guy. Because this one uses like the, yeah, cliff number 2. So we could actually do this just straight away. And then maybe fix up this stop a little bit here. Let's see if we can actually do that. Let's start by doing that. And so that would be cliff number 2, and we use the R version. R stands for redesign or redone or whatever. And yeah, I'm gonna take that object, gonna copy its transform, gonna add a new one of these guys here, and basically paste it on top of the old one, and then we can remove the old one. The old one's name is, by the way, is this cliff 11. And I'll remove that. You can see the new one is slightly smaller, and then we're probably gonna have to make that cliff actually be like blocking for the grass. Yeah, there's the cliff number 11. What's the name of the new one? The new one is cliff 2R3. There we go. And then we can see that some of this grass actually doesn't quite match. Gonna have to do something about that. So let's start with that. Fix this up a little bit. Now this cliff won't actually have any light maps currently, so that's not good. And before we get light maps done for this thing here, the lighting is not gonna match exactly like. Yeah, it's not actually, the difference is not super big between this one and this one. But if you add the light map debug. Alright, yeah, that's because we don't have light maps for this. I don't do light maps for these old ones now, because it's gonna be throwaway stuff anyway. So that's why they kind of like, you know, don't look like anything. But here we can actually kind of clearly see this is the new art style. Like it's a little more, you know, flowy, natural, cliff looky. And then this is I don't know what this is. This is some sort of like, you know, grid plastic thingy. And so I wanna get these more natural looking cliffs everywhere here. Well, anyway, let's start by doing this, and we're gonna tweak some of this grass here, because the shape of this cliff has actually changed quite considerably, I might say. Here we have a little bit of terrain poking through. We're gonna have to fix that as well. And today's stream is really just sort of like a way for me to make this work a little more interesting, while hopefully providing some interesting or entertaining content for some of you guys. I think my work on this game is going to be mostly just doing this cliff stuff for most of this week, actually. It's not the most exciting work necessarily to do, but it is pretty nice to do this finally, because I've been thinking about doing this work for ages. And doing it on stream is just like a pretty nice way to just make it a bit more enjoyable, perhaps. Because it's not really something that like requires a whole lot of thinking. It's mostly just like a sort of work you can kind of just do. You can just start doing, and then you can even talk pretty well over doing this kind of work. It's not like programming, where sometimes you just have to like be very silent and still and concentrate and look at the screen and go like, I kind of feel like this kind of work that I'm doing now kind of occupies a part of the brain that like doesn't prevent me from just like talking and yapping over this thing. Can be done quite easily at the same time. Yeah, you can see the grass is kind of like freaking out here in some of these places, because like I said, I've changed some of the geometry here a little bit. And here we can clearly see that, okay, like the grass doesn't really exactly match this. These cliffs are actually quite a bit lighter than the old ones. You can see it here as well. And so we're gonna have to like tweak this a little bit here. However, we don't want to put like a whole lot of effort into tweaking these colors now until we get the light mapped version of this cliff in. Actually, one other thing that I've done since the last stream is I fixed a bug in... Actually, I fixed 2 bugs in the light map baker. We can maybe submit some more work to the baker just in a second here. It's kind of interesting actually. Every time I turn on the baker, so the baker is sort of like it's an old one of my workstations that I have kind of dedicated to building light maps. It's not on all the time. It's only on when I really need it to build light maps. And every time I turn it on, every time I spend like a little bit more time with it actually running, I find new bugs in the in the light map generation. Then I figured, okay, now I must have fixed all of the bugs, and then I might generate like a light maps for a whole level or something. And then I come back to it later, like a few months later or whatever, turn it on again, and I find a new bug, and I'm like, how did I ever get anything done? Because this is a pretty bad bug. And then that just keeps happening over and over. It's confusing. Okay, here we have a little bit of terrain stuff happening that we're gonna have to sort out, but I can't actually see anything on that grass. So let's turn off the grass here. Turn off the grass like that, and we can see that, okay, yes. Again, the new cliff is a little lower than the old one, so we can see some of these weird kind of snafus shining through here. Remains to be seen how many viewers we get today. I didn't really advertise this because I already did a stream on this previously. And this follow-up stream, if you will, that we do today is kind of just like a way for me, like I said, to make this work a bit nicer. And hopefully also provide some entertainment for you guys, but I didn't actually advertise the stream a whole lot. It's also like Monday afternoon / evening, so hardly prime time, I guess, for streams like this. Might be a pretty slow stream today, I guess, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And that's not really the point of today's stream. The point of today's stream is really just for me to work on this and get it done, so that we can move on to other things. Right, I'm gonna tweak the lighting here a little bit for this grass anyway. I feel like it's probably going to have to be lighter here, even with the new light map, and then we can tweak it once we get the light map back from the baker. But since these cliffs are that much brighter now, I'm just gonna tweak the colors of this grass here quite a bit. Just gonna eat away some of that grass here. Actually, the grass areas bounds end there, so even though we would want to paint grass here, we would have to do it using another grass object if we want to do that. So I'm just gonna tone down the grass here a little bit. I'm just a little bit there. That's probably fine. That's probably fine. That's clearly like another grass object that's responsible for that grass down there. So let's chill out with that for a little bit. And yeah, so I had like honestly not realized that I could do this cliff now here using this new mesh. Completely forgotten that this uses one of the meshes that I had already done. And so once we've sort of done this, we'll move on to this other mesh that we had here. Gonna do probably a few final tweaks to this guy, and then we're gonna texture them. Once we have the texture and the material created for it, then we're gonna submit both of these guys at the same time to the light map baker. Well, we don't really submit it, we just submit it to version control, and then the light map baker picks them up. But I'm gonna do them both at the same time. Specifically, I'm gonna submit it only after I have that other mesh unwrapped properly, so UV unwrapped. Because otherwise, the baker is gonna, unless I specifically disable it, the baker is gonna start building its light maps, and it's gonna do it using the currently quite weird and funky UV maps, and we're gonna do some unnecessary work that's not gonna be worth anything. So I'm gonna wait until I have it textured properly, and then we'll get some quality stuff right away. Right, so here's some grass that kind of intersects that rock a little bit there. Let's get rid of that. Bump up the intensity there. Something like that. All right, that'd be good. Yeah, it looks a little flat and plasticky here now without the light map. So with light map, it looks more sort of like it's sitting in the actual environment. It's like a very subtle little thing, but you can kind of toggle it on and off like this, and it actually makes quite a bit of difference. Let's make that a little taller. I can fit my entire render options window here. Alright, something like that. So what are we now then thinking with this thing here? Maybe this is good enough to have one iteration of the light mapper take a stab at it. This is something we could maybe tweak ever so slightly. The lighting here on this grass is a little strange. Something like that. You kind of wanted to just like almost like sink into, like drown in the underlying terrain or the underlying mesh. That's kind of my my driving sort of rule of thumb, shall we say, when I'm lighting this grass. Yeah, here you can see a little bit of a hard edge here between the actual cliff and the terrain there. So maybe we can do something like add some decorations here. So add some of these rocks. Decorations are lighter weight objects. You can have just a whole bunch of them. Typically it looks pretty alright if you have rocks like this in these kind of secluded areas. Have the grass intersecting there with that a little bit. So no, that's not what I wanted. Let's go to height, and then take out some of that grass there, so we don't have grass poking through the rock. Alrighty then. That's probably alright. Okay. So then, maybe this is good enough for now. I'll come back and tweak this later when we have the final lighting. I'll probably have to, like, once I've done all of this, I'm gonna have to just fly around and look at different places and tweak the lighting a little bit, because it's actually quite a lot that's changing now. But yes, let's get to actually fixing up this guy. Start with tweaking this here. We have some grass that's kind of like flowing into this and up onto this. I think I want that. Doesn't look very good. Here we have some decorations that clearly fit better before I did the redesign. I think like this part here of this rock is something that I actually added here in the redesign, so it used to be there at all. Place them like that maybe. Could be better. And then this guy is also used in a couple of different places here in the level. So we need to make sure that it kind of works everywhere. The way we can do that actually is by we can run a query against the level data here. So object type, copy object type, and we can run a JQ query. JQ, as I'm sure some of you know, is like a JSON data processor or whatever you want to call it. And you can run some example scripts here. You can of course make your own. So select object. This is like a select all game objects of a certain type. So basically what we do here is we get all same game objects and we select the ones where the type is this graphical shell grass. That's not what we want. We want this. No, sorry, we want that, but without the R. So cliff 5. Without the R, that would be the original one. And we run it in select objects mode. This run and it doesn't select anything. Okay, so we don't have any of those left. But if we run it with the R, you can see that we selected 3 objects. Alright, so we have one which is off here to the side. Can't even really see that. It's just like a background thingy here, and when the camera is down here, you can just see it like a little bit. Then we have one which is over here. And this probably requires some tweaking or looking at perhaps. And then we have this guy here, which is like the original place it was designed for. And so I typically design these for a given place, but then I kind of like if they can be used in a few different places, right? That just makes sense. So, I think this one here now works pretty well. Probably have to tweak the terrain and the grass there a little bit still, but I think like overall it looks kind of alright. And I've actually looked at that quite a bit. This one I haven't looked at all that much, so let's see, what do we have? We have some grass that's sitting on top of it. This is really like an area of the level that you don't really necessarily have to visit at all, like this place here. That gate never opens actually. It's mostly just there to sort of, I don't know, for like narrative reasons or whatever. But yeah, I think this actually looks kind of okay. Let's see what the terrain looks like there if we disable the grass for a little bit. Actually looks kind of okay as well. And again, without the light map, this just looks way too bright, this area here. So here, if you turn on the light map debug, you can see that the rest of the stuff is kind of light mapped nicely. But this one isn't. It looks very strange. I wonder what this is here. I don't actually know. This yellow or the kind of brighter gray thing is. But it doesn't matter. Oh, now I know what it is. It's actually just a shadow. Yeah, it's just a shadow because the debug light map material doesn't react to shadows at all. You can see this. It's really just like showing the raw light map. But those are actually the shadows here from this mountain here. So if we turn off that, you can see the shadow kind of continuing. Yeah, it's just, it looked a little strange without any context. But yeah, this actually works kind of okay, so I'm just not gonna do anything about it right now. That's good. Okay. And I think same thing here. Well, not quite. Let's fiddle with this a little bit. Little fiddling hasn't hurt anyone. Especially, I think, here. Make the strength really small. We can modify this height map terrain to kind of flow a bit nicer with this cliff. So the cliff is going to be kind of colored. I'm going to paint it with this ground color here, sort of near the center of this thing. And then there's going to be a sort of like a gradient towards the cliff there as we approach the edge of the cliff. And then we hide the whole sort of transition between one and the other with some grass. So if we turn this on, you can see that it's already almost hidden here. Grass works pretty well for that thing, but we're gonna want to paint it a little bit to actually have a little bit of grass color sort of. Here's a weird sort of like angle, and you can see some of the SSA are kind of poking through that. So let's go into the into the Blender file here. That would be cliff number 5, if I'm not mistaken. And it would be this area here. You can see that, yeah, okay, we do have actually quite a bit of geometry here, and there's almost like a slope down here towards this. I don't know if I really like this. Maybe there could be a slight slope here with this outcropping. But yeah. I'm gonna want to be a little careful with how much I modify that stuff. I think that's probably better. And then what's typically a pretty good idea to do is just to chip off some of these corners. Just makes it look a bit more rock-like that way. So the rocks here in this level are still gonna be like a little bit strange looking maybe. But I can't spend like too much time on this, just redesigning everything. So I'm doing sort of just like the basic minimum thing I can do here to bring it a bit more in line with my art style overall. Just trying to make that a little bit more, or shall we say a little bit less regular, right? I'm kind of allergic to these like very sort of box or square pieces of cliff. And that was a very prominent feature of this old art style, was actually just that. Everything was very sort of boxy and square-like. I'm trying to get away from that to make it just more more sort of irregular. Although there's a lot of boxiness here, but like you don't really want this anymore, where it's like, okay, right up, right down, right up, right down, like this kind of thing. I want to get rid of that a little bit. Right. Here we are with this. I mentioned in the last stream that I do quite a bit of just intersecting geometry these days when I'm modeling cliffs and things like this. Just natural elements of the environments here, because that just gives you a whole lot of freedom and can in some cases actually be even like a better, like a more economical thing to have. Oh, not that. Wrong mode. Yeah, that looks alright. That looks alright, I think. Still, this is pretty boxy here. What can we do about this, like this end of the thing? Can we just bring that down somehow? I think we probably can. That thing is actually just all the way underground there, so we don't really have to worry about that. And then this thing here is of course just very far from anything that the player is gonna see. So it's mostly like this place here, the original one, that's interesting to get right here. Again, that's not what I wanted. The previous clips had like nothing but sharp edges. That's why I can like see all of these almost like a grid here, and even in on these faces that would be sort of like more or less sort of bumpy, but not necessarily sharp. I don't have that with the new one, the new art style. Here I kind of embrace the fact that not everything needs to be sharp, but sometimes you just want things to be sharp. Like, you know, if you chip off like a corner like this, you definitely want that to be sharp, so that it really looks like, okay, a piece came off there at some point, right? And oh, that's a wonky angle, by the way. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I have to fix that somehow. How do we do that? Maybe by... yeah. I exactly know how we want to handle this now. Maybe by making that plainer. Now I think that could be better. Now we have that issue. Okay. Yeah, so things can definitely be non-planar, but here in this case, like, now we kind of lost that sharp edge there, so let's add it back by just marking it as being sharp. Right, still have some funkiness there with the lighting. Makes perfect sense that we would, because it's no longer planar, now it is planar. So that looks better. Yeah, that's all right. And then there's of course the question of like, should this entire wall piece here, you can see some of that intersecting geometry, we're gonna have to remove some of these faces here, by the way. Let's do that in a second. Should like this entire wall actually be rotated a little bit more even. Just in the interest of getting rid of some of that boxiness. There's even like a little bit of directionality here with this, like being slanted in that direction. Sometimes that can make things look a bit more natural. Because of course rock is like in actual life, like in the real world, rock has sort of typically actually been flowing in one form or another some part of its existence. Maybe something like that. That's starting to look kind of okay. It's a little goofy looking this, but like I think I'm just gonna have to embrace it here in this level. We have so many of these to do still, so maybe a few more things, and then we'll start with the texturing. So here we have some faces we can get rid of. I think we can get rid of all of them, not that one. Okay, now we can get rid of those faces for sure. We can get rid of that face. That one we can like fold up there. I'm just doing this in a very approximate way, as you can see. Don't really care that we have some intersecting geometry here. That one we can probably fold up there as well. Right. I'm wondering what this red thing is. It's like the visualization mode in Blender, which lets me know when I'm looking at the back side of something. Like if I bring that down a little bit, I can get rid of that entire face. That's a pretty nice thing to be able to do, and here we have some faces that we don't need. I don't think we need either of those. Or that. What is that actually? Oh, that's that one. Okay, yeah, we do need that one. So then we get to this phase where we're like, okay, we can't like remove any faces outright, but we can just make them smaller here, so that we save a little bit of texture space, right? That's not good. We don't want to do that. Yeah, I think we're kind of okay on that front end. So it's kind of haphazardly modeled, this thing. Just like bashing a bunch of you know, rock faces and bodies together here. Oh, we're actually having some views. Welcome everyone. Welcome if you just joined. Fiddling a little bit with the old rocks and cliffs today. Kind of wasn't really expecting any views today, because it's a very sort of unannounced stream, and at a time where there isn't necessarily a whole lot of watching the streams, but anyway, glad to have you. Welcome. Right, we have a little bit of perhaps unnecessarily complex stuff going on here. I think I'm gonna actually leave most of this here now, just because you can like drive up onto this cliff here, and so the shape actually matters quite a lot. We want it to be easily traversable, right? What about that side? That side is just very, very deep underground there, yeah. How is it with this other one? It's probably very deep underground here as well. It's actually not. It's not underground, but it's just up against that wall there. Right. Here's one of these bugs that I fixed today. I just haven't rerun the light map baker. We can see that this wall here, which is this big huge piece of wall actually, it has some light mapping which is not really aligned with the terrain here. You can see here sort of like a subtle border between like a lighter unlit piece of wall and then the lit piece of wall up here. And it's not really, it should be down here where the terrain is, and it's not. And it's one bug that I fixed today. Here you can see that it kind of matches, especially if we turn off the grass for a little bit. There we go. There's the grass toggle. You can see here the border kind of matches the terrain pretty well. Can't really see any unlit stuff here above the ground. But then here it is. Kind of, it doesn't really match. There's like a good meter and a half or something. That was one bug in my light map baker. The further we get from the world origin, the more sort of inconsistent that became. So here it's also pretty bad. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, how did I not see this before? It was a really stupid bug in the light mapper. And I'm just wondering, how did I ever actually get things light mapped? If we go here to another corner of the map, we can maybe see something slightly similar. Oh, we don't actually have light maps here in this because this is just the old stuff here. Never mind. Never mind then. Well, anyway, that was that. Cool. Okay, so let's just consider this piece of rock or cliff to be done, geometry-wise. Maybe we'll add like one more. I know I've said this multiple times now, and then I changed my mind. Well, let's maybe add something here. Nah, let's not add anything here. I'm gonna add like a tree or two there to hide that. I'm not super happy with how this looks actually, but I just need to move on, so it's fine. It's fine. So we're gonna move on to the texturing. And before we can texture anything, we're gonna have to unwrap this guy. So let's start by doing these pieces that I've added sort of after. I'm gonna hide that. You can see that these guys don't have any kind of seams anywhere. So let's just add some seams here. And I can see that one I can actually just fold up there. I don't need that at all. That's enough. We have add a seam. We do it for that one. We add a seam. Seam there. Let's mark that as sharp. Do we not have the sharp? No, we don't have it on. There we go. That should be good. All right. What do we have here then? These could almost be perhaps unwrapped as is, but let's add some seams there anyway. Right here then. That would be that. That's a pretty good seam. Let's mark that as sharp just to be safe. That would be a seam. Yep. And then we have a seam here, right? That's a seam. And then we can maybe we can just cut it. I don't think we need to do that. We need to. I'll cut it there, but I'll leave that connected, and that'll kind of like fold pretty nicely. Seam there, and not there, but there. That should be all of that. So like if we unwrap that and then we look at it in Zen UV with the stretchiness visualizer, there's a very small amount of stretching there and there as well. It's completely fine. That is completely fine. Okay, so now we come to the rest of the thing. And since this is sort of like an evolution of what came before, i.e. the old version of this cliff, it has already been marked sharp but clear seam. It has already been UV unwrapped before. That's why you can see a bunch of seams here. It's just that some of them are kind of broken, as you can see here, for example. That's just because I made changes to this entire mesh, so it doesn't necessarily match what we need anymore. Do we really need a seam there? I'm not sure we do. I don't think we do. Let's take that away. Yeah, it looks pretty good actually. Let's see what happens if we... Right, so here we have some stretchy poo. That's not good. I think I'm just gonna cut it like that. Not necessarily the most efficient way of doing it, but it's alright. Let's hide those for the time being. Okay, so I think it makes sense to have a seam there. Stretched. So there's not a whole lot of stretching going on. If I was making like a vehicle or some other kind of hero object here, I would be a lot more particular about these things being stretched. Maybe let's cut off that corner still. We get a whole lot of stretching here. Fix that quite easily. Let's see, cut that down there, I think. Yeah, so with my hero objects that you're looking at all the time, it's quite important that you have nice UV unwrapping, but something like this, it's pretty fine. Fashion, as you can see. Maybe if we bring in like that thing a bit closer, we can just get rid of that underline face there completely. What about that? Yeah, we can get rid of that as well. And that. Yep, that looks alright. That one as well. Can't even see that. What about that one? That one we can see. Let's leave that. big though. So basically we're just saving some texture space here when we're making these things a little smaller. Not really any savings on the geometry side, but that's really not that important these days. It can be, but I don't think it's very important here. Just add a face there. So if we put this in some other place where we have the ground lower, then it's nicer to have a face there. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. We can add a checker texture. There we go. And we can see, yeah, that's looking pretty alright. I think this is like the most stretched part of the thing, and it looks quite good enough for our uses. Okay, so I want to see if we have any overlap. We don't have any overlap. The reason I don't want any overlap is that we're going to use the same UV map for light mapping actually. You can have a separate UV map for that, but I typically don't do that because kind of don't need to. Most cases it's quite good enough with this, and the engine doesn't generate any light map UV atlases or anything automatically like some engines do. My humble engine is not quite that fancy, although I've been thinking about adding that at some point. Okay, so UV Packmaster 3, we're just gonna let it find a good place for us. And yeah, I actually in the last stream I saw that, okay, this is actually, I seem to be running Blender in Vulkan mode. I don't know if it's the Vulkan one or if it's the AMD card or the combination of those two, but Packmaster 3 doesn't want to actually use the GPU to find configurations here, but it's fine. CPU does it quite well enough. Typically I'm targeting like 0.7 as the usage ratio. So if we're close to 0.7, it's probably pretty good. So we're like 0.67 now. Yeah, 6.7. I'm gonna lose all of my viewers. I'm sorry. Okay. Kind of doesn't look like it's gonna find anything better than that, but I think it's probably fine. Let it run onto 5,000 iterations, and if it hasn't found anything, no. That's good. Okay, cool. So now this thing is UV unwrapped. We want to make sure that we don't have any overlap here. No, still don't have any overlap here, but we don't. And stretching is tolerable. So that's good. Okay. The next step, though, I already have created the standard images for this cliff. I actually have a script that does it. And to get the proper visual look, first thing we want to do is we want to bake an edge highlight texture. You can see there's a little bit of edge highlight going on here. That's like the case with everything in this game. Here's the house, which has the same thing, for example. And here's a vehicle that has the same thing. And that one we can do just by dragging a material cliff edge highlights object onto the mesh. We want to make sure that we only have a single material slot. And then we need to go into rendered mode here. You can see the thing actually rendering those highlights for us. Then we go here and we select the cliff 5 edge highlights. Image examples 32 is quite good enough, and we're going to want to bake this with an emit pass. So let's bake and see what happens. This shouldn't take very long. Surprisingly long, actually. That's a bit strange. Yeah, so I have HIP and I have GPU compute selected. Yeah, in my experience, CUDA works better with Blender, but HIP and AMD cards should work pretty alright as well. Alright, anyway, here we have our edge highlights. That's good. And then we can drag another one of these materials, material cliff new, which is like my new version of the cliff material, quite simply. And we're gonna plunk into these slots. We're gonna put the diffuse texture, the color placement texture, painted details, and then edge highlights. Now if we go back, we can see that we have our edge highlights applied here nicely. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do, and I mentioned previously that this is something that I typically do on a drawing display, which is something that I have but I don't have on this machine. And that is painting a little bit of different colors onto this thing. But we're not painting the colors directly, rather we're painting into specific color channels. So we're going to paint into this Cliff 5 color placement texture here, and into the red channel, so the first channel, we're going to paint that grass. So we paint here, even though we're painting red technically, we're seeing the grass color sort of coming through here. So here towards the middle of this thing, it's going to be very, very sort of solidly the the grass color. And you can see there's a little bit of a pattern going on here. It's not like a single colored thing. It's a little bit of some darker spots there or whatever. And then sort of outside of this, we're just gonna paint it with a mouse now, which is interesting. There's no real big plan for this or anything, just like making a gradient sort of. So we can turn off the floor there for a bit. Just to sort of give the impression that the grass is sort of creeping up towards the edge of the cliff there, but it doesn't quite reach the edge of the cliff. Right, something like that. And then combined with the grass, which is sort of becoming lower and lower as we approach the edge of the cliff as well. It looks pretty good typically. Yeah, so here's what we actually paint. Then I'm gonna save that file, and then I'm gonna actually paint. I'm gonna bake a version of this diffuse texture here now. So let's go to diffuse, only color. That's good. And we have all of the images saved for now. We can bake that out. We can actually get a texture that we can use in game. go. That didn't take very long. So we save that and we save a copy of it. That's kind of like the work file. Save a copy of it here in this cliffs folder, where the game engine can actually see it. So we can see map refinery cliffs, cliff 5 diffuse text created. Created a new texture. And now we can see, can I actually crash this tool now? Cliff 5 diffuse. No, yes, it does crash, or it gives me an exception. Yeah, this is something I need to look into. I don't know what is happening with this asset browser now. Something that has been happening. If we add like a new asset here, and then we go to it immediately, it crashes for some reason. I need to fix that for some reason. There we go. Well, now, anyway, now we can. Oh, that's not what we want to do. We want to make it be PC7. We want to bring down the size. So we're working with like a 4K map here. That's actually why it took quite a bit of time to make this. You can see the size is 4K, but we don't want the 4K texture for this. At runtime, so I'm just putting it down to a 2K texture, like that. And then we can also go to this folder here, and I'm gonna take this 4R material. So it's cliff number 5, and R stands for redesigning. And I'm just building that material. Bring that over there. Alright, so now we have a cliff 5R bin material which uses this texture here, and if we go to the refinery level specific blueprint, we can find the cliff 5R which is still using this single colored blockout material thingy, and now we should be able to find that cliff. Oh, that was a 4R. Let's fix that to 5R. Yeah, it's all garbled, and that's because we haven't actually exported our mesh since we made these changes. So let's just export that out. Cliffs, yeah, it needs to go there. And boom, there we go. That looks better. So the only thing that's missing from this now, well, I might have to tweak it a little bit here, but the only thing that I know is missing from this now is some dirt painting. So if you have a look at some of these other things here, some of these other cliffs, you can see a little bit of sort of like gray or brown in some of these areas. I'm gonna go in and paint that onto this as well, but I'll do that with my drawing tablet, right? So let's reload the backend for the engine. That's the only way we can actually refresh blueprints currently, and it should reappear with the correct material. There we go. So it doesn't look like very much different. You can see that there's a little bit of these like edge highlights going on here. It's a little choppy while it's rendering the light probes. But we can see that there's a little bit of like grass color going on here. That's okay. So let's maybe adjust the grass according to this new painting that we did. A little bit light intensity. Bump that up so slightly. So like what I'm going for here is this kind of idea where you have cliff here, then you have like a little bit of grass color, and then like the grass comes in kind of gradually, and At some point you have essentially nothing but grass, and at that point, like we are already standing on the terrain rather than the cliff, which is a mesh, of course. So we're sort of like hiding the transition from mesh to terrain using grass. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't really work all that well. Depends on, well, on many things. And yeah, I think we probably want to take that away. Like so. Yep, starting to look, I guess, kind of decent. Maybe we should play the game a little bit and see how it feels to drive on top of these guys. Let's do that. I'm gonna just launch it directly here from the editor. It's gonna take a little while to export. Oh, we have some, okay. Exported object from grass, shellgrass 22 has some object that it doesn't know, and that's probably because shellgrass 22 which one is it? It's that one. Okay. Cliff 12, yeah, okay. Let's actually figure out which one is cliff number 12, because I can do that by running the old version of the level, so refinery blockout, which it's called. Fly over there and see, is it this guy? No, that's number 14, okay. Which one is number 12? Is it that one? Yeah, it's that one. It's kind of interesting though that it would want to block on that, because it's not even in its volume. So I'm just gonna take that away. No, we shouldn't have that warning there anymore. So it like really doesn't matter that it's considering it to be blocking, because it's not even where the grass is. So it was essentially a mistake from back in the day when I made this originally, which is like over a year now. drive a little bit. Let me know if the game audio, by the way, is like way too loud or something like that. Should be a little bit of game audio, but I don't want it to like make you deaf. Right, so this again, this looks a little flat now, just like everything. This is also now without light maps here. So we're gonna submit this guy to the light map baker after this, probably. Yep. I think this guy has light maps. Yeah, pretty sure it has. You can see like this cliff here is almost like a little bit red, and it's kind of like picking up on that tree there, just standing very close to it. So let's see if I can actually jump from this side to the other. That's something that was possible to do previously. I'm not sure you can actually do that anymore because the shape of the cliff has changed a little bit. That wasn't necessarily what I was planning to do, but I mean it's. No one needs to jump over, so it's not like a huge loss if you can't do that, but let's see. Can I make the jump? You can probably actually make the jump. Just need to get a little bit better angle. Ugh. Angle to be a little better, yeah. So like you want to basically like hit this little outcropping here, this guy. Maybe you should start like from this and just drive straight onto that one. Let's try that actually. That might be the best way to achieve this. I should of course mention that if you want to play this game, if this looks fun, you can play the pre-alpha 4. You can play it today. There's a bug. I need to fix that. You can play pre-alpha 4 today. Yeah, that's not enough. It's clearly not enough. Speed there. Okay. Yeah, you can play pre-alpha 4 today, which is actually takes place in this very level here. You can do it by joining the Discord, and you can get a Steam playtest key for this. And pre-alpha 5 will be out in the not too distant future. Yeah, that's kind of tricky to actually pull off these days. I'm sure we'll manage to do it eventually. There was a bug here that I wanted to fix. It was here, right? Wasn't it? Yes. A little bit of terrain showing through here, where when you enable the pre-tessellated terrain, which is the one that is actually in use in the game. There we go. Now it's no longer visible. Okay. What was that? It's actually a little bit of stuff to fix. Let's fix that as well while we're at it. Yeah, so there is essentially like there's one or two more things I want to do here before I submit this, but when I do, we can then submit it to the baker, and then we can pretty soon get light maps for all of these new objects here that we have. Right, that's not what we want. We want the probably that one, isn't it? No, is it that one? It's probably that one. That's the grass object for this area. Is it not? What? Not exactly sure what am I looking at here. Yeah, so that ends there. Okay, good. Oh, it's probably not that one. It's like it's that one, is it? Yeah, that is clearly what we want. Okay, good. So light intensity once again. The new cliffs are quite a bit lighter than the old ones. So we're gonna want to actually bring up the light intensity here as the grass is sort of flowing on top of this thing. Oh, that might actually be another object. Might be that other one. That's why it's not reacting to my clicks. Yeah, my grass painting system isn't perhaps like the most and the best and the elegantest of them all, but it gets a job done. Especially this thing with like you having to kind of know which object is managing which area of the level. That can be a little annoying sometimes. So that's probably that. But then if we go here and we select that thing, that might be like this. Yeah, that's that object. So let's do light intensity. And you can see that this tool here actually uses like an IMGUI editor like this. It's not like built into this level editor or anything. That's because this thing is essentially like a custom tool that lives on the game side, which means that the editor doesn't actually even really know anything about it. There's like both pros and cons with developing like that. Some of the tools that we have here, such as the terrain lowering and raising tools, like this for example has here like a proper button and everything, and it's sort of like more tightly built into the level editor itself. The grass modifying tool is not one such thing. It's just done completely without the involvement of the level editor, essentially. That's why it's a little clunky, but it gets the job done, like I said. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough. We can modify this and tweak it a bit later if we want to. Very slightly lighter still. And again, this is not really in the critical path, this level anyway, so probably doesn't make sense to like spend a whole lot of time on it. Does that grass look kind of annoying when it's kind of in the air almost like that? Maybe it is. Good. Good. Here we have another one of these. Oh, that's cliff 13. Yeah, that's a cliff that I haven't really done anything to yet. And here's one of these houses actually in this level that just has never been finished. So I'm gonna have to do that as well. That might be a fun stream. Okay, so now then, let's make sure that this guy here has overridden GI settings. GI type set to none. There's no point in making any light maps for that. We're just wasting time and texture space. But this one should have, and it does, as should this one. Yep. And I'm gonna want to actually get the path to this guy. So that's 5R. I'm gonna just put that into something like Notepad++ here. Because we're gonna want to actually tell the lightmap baker, hey, bake these two specific things next, right? Yeah. Other than that, I think we're pretty much done. So I'm gonna save this level and then I'm gonna submit all of this stuff to my version control. Cliff work, and we submit it. Right, and then we can go to my core tools here and log into the basis baker thingy. And we can see that, okay, we should have something called cliff 5R and cliff 5R2. I don't think the baker has necessarily found them yet. No, they should be here at the very end of this list here. To wait a little bit until it actually realizes that, okay, they have been added to the level. There's some stuff here in the queue. What do we have? We have like a bunch of trees, right? I actually paused the baking earlier, so it's not doing anything currently. But it should now realize that we have those new meshes there in just a second. I can see here on my second screen that Baker is getting the newest objects added to the level. They should appear here. So this is running on a secondary machine. There we go. Just want to get that top of queue. Top of queue. Oh, what? Plateau top cliff 5R. That's not good. That was this one, right? 5R. the top cliff 5R. Don't even have. Oh, there it is, 5R. Oh, I was okay. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong one actually. Yeah, that's annoying. Okay. So I'm gonna shut that down now. Let's add one more little thing here, just override settings. So we have GI type none. We don't want any light probes, we don't want any light maps, nothing of the sort for that guy, right? Cliff work. Do that again. That should be alright. However, we want this guy that we added. This thingy here. That's Cliff 2R. So that was probably the other one that we saw here. Yes, this guy. So now we have Cliff 2R mesh. Pending. And in progress, huh? Okay, yeah, it actually it got started on them. We're gonna take the making queue. I'm just gonna delete all of those. Delete the rows, apply. Yep. Right, so now we don't have anything in the baking queue, and we're gonna take that one and that one and that one and add them to the queue, and that should be good. Then we can let the baker rip, and I'm gonna go get a glass of water here. Just a sec. Alrighty then, let's see. Has the right, so now we can see, yeah, it has started here. It's doing just those three. I think this one should actually probably be removed here if we click refresh. Yes. because we marked it as not being actually eligible for light maps when we went here and we toggled this override on, which by default sets the GI type to none. Okay, excellent. So that means that the baker is now baking those 3 guys, and it's probably gonna take some time for it to get them. But we are basically done with them, except the fact that I need to paint some dirt on those 2. Well, I'm painting it on 1, but it's the same. It's 2 instances of the same one, so that'll be good. The next thing then would probably be to start looking at this refinery here, which has quite a few meshes. It has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 meshes. Or is that one? Yeah, that's the 6th, actually. Small one there in the middle. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I don't know which one I should start with. Maybe that one. What's that? Let's click number 10. Click number 10, and then that's number 9. Yeah, maybe we could like do this cliff face first. I think that's probably perhaps the easiest one. This is not like super detailed because it has this ramp that runs right next to it, so it can't have just like a whole bunch of, just to be, you know, just like a cliff wall, rock wall, whatever. It actually goes all the way there, and then this one is that piece. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep, let's start with that. So we'll see. This may be the last one I do on this stream, but it would be nice to get this started on this. Put a dent in this project as well. And then I think this one is that's just one big one. And then it's probably gonna be like tomorrow's agenda for me to get this refinery in shape. Once the refinery is done, I think it's probably a question of continuing with this thing here. What is this, by the way? This is something. That's something that we've already done. How interesting. Cliff number 3. Yeah, we can take that one. The transform of that one, and then we do cliff 3, and we put an R version of it on top of that old one, and we can get rid of that. And then importantly, we want to again do this same thing. Disable the GI for that, right? So now we have quick mesh. That's probably just the ground, yes. The same thing there, that's just the ground. And what's that? That's also the ground. And then we have cliff 1R, cliff 1R2, which is the same mesh, just in another place, really. 5R, 4R, and 3R. So we have all of that stuff now using the new ones. The only one that's still using the old style is this weird thing here. It's called Large Cliff 1 Background. It's a really strange piece of kind of unique rock here, which I probably actually want to like change the shape of a little bit. It's a little strange there, but yeah, all of the other stuff up here is actually now like using the new style, so that's kind of neat. Anyway, yeah, after the refinery, it's probably like continuing with these two. There's the smaller one here, and there's the really huge one here. Yeah, this is kind of a nice place. This is gonna look really nice when we get the new cliffs here, I think. And then just basically continuing all the way around the map until we get here, and then we'll be done. Finally. Yeah, lots of things to do still. But anyway, this place is starting to look kind of neat now. Anyway, let's get going with this cliff number 10 still today on this stream. Like I said, just make a dent in this piece of work. So here we have it, and it has its weird and strange old style material going, which we will immediately get rid of. In fact, we will get rid of all of that stuff. All of the old materials can go away. There we go. Save that, and we can get rid of all of the old images as well. Rid of all of that. We don't want any of you. Then we do a revert, and that would mean that Blender gets rid of all of those unused resources. Asset library. And yeah. Now you have like different sort of work spaces or whatever they're called up there, but I typically don't really use them a whole lot. Okay. So like the base changes that we've done to each and every one of these objects is basically the same. You go here and you enable sharp. You can see that everything is sharp, and then we make everything not sharp, and then we do an auto smooth. That's like step 1. Step 2 is typically getting rid of this beveled edge here. This is something that I had with these old style cliffs. We can see if I can perhaps dissolve them like this. It doesn't work really well dissolving for some reason, so I just typically do a whole lot of it by hand like this. Last, thank you. These cliffs are really old. It's probably like a couple of years since I modeled this. Some of the stuff here is just like, I don't know, what was I thinking? I made this. My modeling skills aren't necessarily that much better these days, but they're a little better. Some of this stuff is just kind of strange. Both from a technical perspective and also kind of design-wise, it's a little weird. Like so. Same thing here. Yeah, because it kind of just ends here, because it's kind of like the point here is that you plug it into this next piece here. Yeah, here's still like the old power plant and the old buildings, the old what's it called? Power cell dispenser. Of course, the power cell dispenser looks like this these days, so it's kind of seen a redesign. The idea was the same already at this point. Yeah, get rid of that. Just getting rid of a lot of these pebbles. I might bring some of them back, but we're gonna do it in a slightly different way if we do bring them back. Like center merging here, like so. Like that. This kind of like design is something I really want to get rid of. Just like these boxes, very boxy things. It just looks so unnatural, and it's very prominent. It's a very prominent thing here in these old glyphs. I figured it would work sort of visually, but it kind of doesn't. Kind of doesn't work. Sharp, I think. Alright, so this is like kind of like the base cleanup done now for this piece. Should make that sharp. Should make probably this sharp. Those we can merge at the center and then bring it in a little bit and then make that sharp. Same thing with that. Same thing with that. Right. So now that we have it, you know, this far, the shape is still mostly the same. Still mostly the same size as the old one. We can go in and we can just export this as a new mesh, and we can replace this guy with it and have, you know, just a blockout material for that. And I'm thinking maybe I'll do that for a few of these meshes, now here on stream because it's kind of fast. And then I think like tomorrow I can start actually tweaking it to make it look a bit more like what I want. So at least I think I'm gonna do at least this one the same thing. Then we'll see if I do more this stream. At least that. Then we can tweak the top side here a little bit. That should be a good start, because then you can go in and just make some small additions and changes and try to make this look even more awesome. But at least we're now like sort of firmly in new art style territory here. So we're gonna do basis mesh. And we're gonna do cliff 10 r.fbx like so, and oh, I probably didn't have it selected. Yeah, there we go. The error is probably something like contains no meshes. Yeah, need to have it selected to export it there. Now we're probably gonna get that yeah, this thing again. It's very strange. Argument out of range exception in the 0 is out of range. Let's actually see what this is. Select all, copy. I'm gonna copy that to Sublime, for example. New one, paste it here. So it's Windows from control collection, get item, blueprint editor data, resize controls. Okay. See if we can see what is actually going on there. Basis tools. So blueprint editor control 2. It's blueprint control current blueprint data resize controls. Okay. Which calls resize controls. Right, and the thing we get is control collection get item 0 index out of range. That's interesting because we only have like some for loops here iterating over all of these things. Yeah, you can see some like a comment here that I vaguely remember writing this. Flow layout panel. Yeah, I think this is probably what it is, right? So if we have ordered controls. And then if flow layout panel controls it's smaller than this, actually fail. It would crash here. That's probably what it is. What is happening? So it would be something like var flow layout panel controls is, you know, this guy. Come on. So this dot length, or is it count? Maybe it's count is larger than I, right? And right, we can't get like the, you know, the 0th control if the count isn't larger than 0. We can't get the first or 1th control if the count isn't larger than 1, right? Flow layout panel controls. Yeah, that should be good. So we're gonna build that. Actually, I wonder, because it's been so tricky to actually catch this bug, I wonder if we should make sure that that is actually what's happening here. So we can do, I'm gonna comment that out. Then I'm gonna do count is larger than or equal to I. Then we do message box, and of course I'm gonna actually submit this. Going to crash. Right? Oh, we're not running that. Oh, stop. Not running the correct thing here. So if we are in the blueprints, vehicle blueprints, for example, and then we go to like that one, going to crash. Yeah, index 0 is out of range. Parameter name index. So now we fix that by adding that back. Terrain blueprints, PNG, whatever. Do vehicle blueprints again. It's possible we need one of these to be expanded or something. Going to crash. We're in some sort of, yeah, it's probably an infinite loop, because like we do this resize control when we activate the window, which causes it to run it again, and then we're in an infinite loop that way. Blueprint. Like that, and then we do PNG. Yeah. that looks like. It is the fix that we needed. The fix that we deserved. So I can go here and then I can go to cliff 10R. Right? And then I can do physics data, which is what I needed to do. And then we can go back to the refinery level specific blueprints. And cliff number 10. Duplicate that. R. And we'll drag that up to under cliff number 10. And we can do all of this good stuff here. So R. We're going to use R there as well. And then we're going to do block out gray. Because we don't have material for it yet, nor will we for some time still, right? Okay, so that would be that. And then we can take, I'm not even gonna bring that in yet. We're gonna take this one. This is cliff number 9. Yeah, that one we can just shut down. Bye-bye. And leave cliff 10 there if we need to make any small changes to it. We can actually get rid of all of those images. We'll go to cliff number 9 and we do basically the same thing here. So, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of all of the materials here. Bye-bye. And get rid of all of the images as well. Need any of that. And then revert. Yes. Should have nothing. There we go, and we can do basically the same thing we did there previously. So, select everything. Nothing is sharp. Clear sharp. Auto smooth. And then we start getting rid of this thing again. So this has to be one of the slowest streams I've done in a whole while. That's completely fine. Thank you to the few people who have come to hang out today. It's always nice to have some viewers. Though it doesn't really matter in this very particular case, because like the main point of today's stream was just to actually have me do this work and make it perhaps a little more enjoyable by streaming it rather than just doing it myself offline, so to speak. Still, it's been very, very quiet today, and that is of course just partially because I didn't really make any noise about the stream at all, other than there being a notification on the Discord, of course. And, you know, speaking of Discord, you should probably go and join Discord. If you do that, then you can play the game right away. You can play Pre-Alpha 4, which has been out for some time, and you get to play Pre-Alpha 5 immediately when it releases. One of the things I need to do for pre-alpha 5 is exactly this cliff work. I'm confused why that thing is actually showing that weird lighting thingy there. It probably has to do with the fact that we have a smooth. Yeah, now we got rid of it. We had a smooth edge there, and it didn't gel with that thin triangle there very well. So just getting rid of some of these bevels here, because I want to do them slightly differently for the new art style. This one we can maybe just dissolve, can we? Dissolve, yes. We probably want to add some edges here to help this out a little bit. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, this is like the thing that I hate the most. Just these like boxes here that are just completely regular and boring and unnatural looking. Like the thing I hate most about this old art style. It was a test, but it kind of didn't really work all that well, and so making changes. Okay, something like that maybe. I think all of that needs to be marked sharp for this thing to make any sense. Yeah, this is weird. What do we do about that? We even have a that's completely borked, this whole face here. That's not good. Let's see. We cut this here like that, and then we actually merge those two. That probably works a bit better. We'll see, I guess. Okay, let's export this guy as Cliff 9R to there. And now we should once again be able to go to here and to Cliff 9R. Find the FBX, and look at that, we don't crash anymore. Isn't that cool? I should really make this so that you could have like tabbed documents, because it's really kind of begging to have tabbed documents. This asset browser, I just have never made it, never added support for it here. Oh hey Jake. Nice of you to check in. Just continuing from the last stream here, doing this cliff business. And I think we're actually gonna probably be ending soon. Been doing this for a while. It's just quite simply what I need to do to get the project forward. But yeah, nice of you to join at least for a bit. Okay, so now that we have these two sort of ready to be used here. Did I not? Oh, I was thinking I would add a face there, like so. There we go. Now we can see it. Let's unload that preview there, and we can replace these guys with the new ones. So unload and reload the backend. And we're probably gonna have to modify the grass a little bit here. So let's see, what is the grass object that is it that one maybe? Yeah, that looks like the one that's controlling the grass for almost all of this. We have a secondary one here. The grass object in question here is this one, and it has the cliff 21. That's 20. That's 21. 21, 23, and large cliff 11. What is large cliff 11? Oh, it's that one. Okay. Oh, here's actually. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's one. That's cliff 20. That's blocking that one. Okay, so we're gonna take the transform for that once again. I'm gonna add back in a cliff 9 R and put it at the same place. And this is now cliff number 20. And the new one is called End of Cliffs, cliff 9R, and we're gonna actually make that the blocking one instead. We can see the grass moving downwards ever so slightly there. It's basically just that the name changed. And then we're gonna take the other one, and that was cliff 21. Copy that one and add one of the new ones in here. 21 is this one, right? I can't select the new one. There we go. 21, yeah. Is called 10R. There's the object, and we're going to replace 21 with 10R. Like so. So okay, now we have the whole side essentially replaced. And yeah, there's some stuff here that needs to be fixed clearly. You can see some of the lines here. We don't really want that. Probably not gonna do like a huge amount of changes to this particular one, because like I said, this ramp is running like right next to it, so we don't want to go too crazy with this particular mesh, but there might be some things to do here. This kind of was bugging me a little bit. Yeah, of course, now that we have these new meshes here in use in the game, we're in the nice position where we can quite simply just make small changes to the thing in Blender. We can export, and we get the whole thing updated here on the fly. Yeah, once again, I'm losing my voice seemingly. Can't be helped. Okay, so next thing then would be to probably disable the grass rendering for a little bit, just so that we can modify the terrain here, make it fit a little better. right. I'm sort of trying to make this seam between the terrain and the cliff as sort of subtle as possible. It doesn't need to be super subtle. It makes sense to have it pretty subtle. It doesn't need to be super subtle because we're gonna hide it mostly with the grass, but it makes it easier to hide if it's kind of subtle to begin with. If that makes sense. Yeah, here's like an actual sort of like pit. The grass meets the cliff there. It's kind of unnecessary somehow. But yeah, maybe again it makes sense to do like a whole lot of changes to this unnecessarily, because it kind of works as is, and there are so many things to do that we should kind of limit this sort of unnecessary fidgeting with this stuff as much as can be done. Yeah, this is starting to look kind of alright, I think. Some of these kind of small imperfections are revealed here by this now, but when the cliff is a little bit lower than it used to be, so some of the stuff that actually was kind of hidden before are now coming through. This is strange here. I don't know what is going on with this cliff number 10 here. Yeah, okay, so we have some really long polygons here. Let's add one additional vertex there, and I think perhaps even bring this up a little bit, rotate a little bit and bring up a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. Something like that. And yeah. Shape here is a little weird. Why does it look like this? Maybe that's easier on the eye. Or something, I don't know. So this one goes like all the way to there, and then yeah, that one is that one. Okay. All right, so we have just basically three more. We have this one here in the middle, that one, and then we have these two. Okay. well, now that I'm actually doing this, I'm kind of tempted to just give all of these meshes the same sort of basic handling. We would have 3 more to do. Maybe I'll do that still in this stream. I'm not promising anything. Let's do one at a time, but that would be kind of nice to just have this very simple little thing done to all of them. I guess that feels kind of nice to have that much done already. So let's do that. I'm gonna go get some more water. Again, I've been yapping so much here that I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. So, be right back. Alrighty then. Yeah, you can see like some of this stuff here is really needs like a lot of redesign. I need to do quite a bit to this big mountain here, large cliff 10 as it's called, to actually, you know, make it kind of work. But yeah, that's why we're here. Yeah, I think we're done with these for now, at least. This is just the very basic. Okay, I'm gonna want to do something about that. That just looks so very strange. Let's just add a polygon there, and that should fix it up. There we go. Yeah, I'll come back to that probably tomorrow. But yeah, let's keep going with this large one. One here. So I'm gonna save this file and shut it down. Bye bye. Do the same thing for this one. Save. Bye bye. And then again, this is called Large Cliff 10. So if we go to that's not it. That's not it. Go back. Map refinery. Large cliffs work. Large Cliff 10. Thing. Again, get rid of all the materials. Go away. Go away. Yeah, this one in particular, I think I'm gonna have to spend some time with to make sure it looks nice, because it's sort of like a landmark in this level. And that was indeed kind of like the whole point of it, to have one tall thing in the middle of the map that you can sort of to navigate. Not that you really typically get lost in this level, but still, there's like a little bit of thought put into it, if you can imagine. So sharper, like so. And again, we're gonna do, make sure we have, here we go, we have sharp. So, where is it? Clear sharp. And then auto smooth. And then we can start doing this unbeveling, as I like to call it. In particular, like this bevel thingy was something that I figured at the time that, yeah, okay, I'm gonna make everything here a little bit beveled because it adds detail, makes things look a bit more soft, and in turn a bit nicer. I'm not sure that really what happened. It kind of just like it was a pretty. That's not what I want to. At last, there we go. It added like a certain recognizable style. It gave everything a certain recognizable style, having these bevels almost everywhere. However, I'm not sure I really like that style now. With in hindsight, come to realize that I don't think that style was actually all that nice. How do I want to do this? I think I'm gonna want to bring that in, and then I'm gonna want to bevel. Unbevel rather that way. Here actually, I think we're gonna want to do this again. I want to bring this just over that way, like so, and so. Something like that. Actually, just move it further from the edge there. And here again we have this not very nice looking boxiness. Gonna have to do something about that. So like I added a lot of geometry for this. But it didn't necessarily make it look like better at all. Like you can be lower poly. Oops. Be lower poly but still like better looking, I think, than this. Some of the cliffs, particularly in the depot level, kind of achieves that in a better way than this does. I'm not sure about that, but let's leave it as it is for now. I'm gonna come back. Some of this stuff is actually kind of nice. Needs a bit of tweaking for sure, but some of the like basic shapes and curves are kind of neat, and I want to just look at them and try to make them a bit more natural. So it's not all bad. But here, for example, I think that's completely unnecessary. Let's get rid of it completely. Right. Like, what is that? What is that? Actually, that may have actually had a point. Let's leave it for now at least. center and center. Last. Oh. Last. Last. Probably center. Right. Same thing. Oop. Same thing there, there, and there. Yup. Alright, so here we are sort of like under the monorail here. This side of the thing, under the monorail station. Okay. Gonna want to make that sharp for sure. The reason I'm doing this work now is that it's pretty late here. I'm gonna call it a night relatively soon. I think we're gonna do a few more of these meshes and then I'm gonna call it a night. I've been doing this for probably like 10 hours today. Basically this cliff redesign business, and I'm getting pretty tired of it. Probably gonna dream about redesigning cliffs tonight. But the reason I'm doing this particular work now is that this is kind of like, I kind of know this. I could watch a movie and do this at the same time almost. It's like it doesn't really require anything from me, you know, brain power wise. But there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be looked at, you know, with some proper thought and care after this part of the work has been done. And I'm thinking that, okay, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna start tomorrow by looking at this more from like an artistic perspective, fix up this refinery rock when I have a little bit more energy. And it's actually kind of nice to get to do that immediately tomorrow when this grunt work, which I want to call this, is done. This grunt work of just undoing some of these decisions I made some years ago when I made this. Rip. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna want to make that sharp again, and then probably actually that one as well, right? Maybe that one too. See. Something like that, maybe? And yeah, I've been putting off this cliff redesign for at least half a year. I'm kind of thinking about the fact that damn, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do this redesign. ever since I basically like figured that, oh, okay, the cliff style that I have going in the depot level is actually kind of nice. I've been thinking like, that means that I'm gonna have to redo these guys here in this level. And yeah, I've not been looking forward to this. So this is really just like me finally stopping the procrastination and just doing it, even though it's kind of horrible. And it's probably gonna take like one more week until I have this done, unfortunately, but I think this level is gonna be so much better when I have it done finally. Okay, so here we have some very strange seam work. I don't know why this is. Why this looks like this. It's very, very weird. Let's maybe clear that seam, right? Not really at the place now where I would like to do a whole lot of seam design for this, but some of this is just so weird that I'm kind of like can't help myself. I'm just like, what is going on here? Assets that is just very strange, but it has worked to begin with, because the tessellation here, the whole topography is so weird. I don't exactly know what to think. Later. It's a weird thing, like when you have something that is very, very low poly, it can look kind of nice because your brain kind of fills in the details. Like in some way, I think that this already looks nicer now that we have this you know, completely untextured thing here. Already looks nicer than this weird looking cliff down here, which is using the old art style, because this thing is not really trying to be. It's just like a very abstract representation of a cliff. And I think it already looks nicer. This is like textured and has material and everything. It's just has a very weird material, very weird texture, but it's still like clearly trying harder than this thing up here, and so it kind of ends up looking worse than the untextured one, because the untextured one kind of leaves something to the imagination, and your brain kind of fills in the details. So sometimes just adding details, if those details don't quite work, they just end up making the thing look worse than you know it did before you added that detail. Because when you didn't have the detail, your brain kind of just, well, I already said it, your brain kind of fills in the details for you. But when something is, you know, is clearly trying to be a cliff but does it poorly, even though it's more detailed, it kind of ends up looking worse. It's an interesting phenomenon. Just get rid of those. I can. little bit of redesign here, even though I said I was going to do this tomorrow. Just doing a little bit of redesign here. Can't help myself. Okay, I think we're basically done now with this guy. What's going on here? This is strange. This is strange. Yeah, this is very strange. I think I'm gonna want to tessellate it that way anyway, so let's do that first of all. Something like that, and then maybe leave the rest for tomorrow. We can make that sharp. That might work. Okay, so we're gonna do large clip 10R. Oh, that's cliff 10R. We're gonna want to have large cliff 10R. There we go. 10R. Drag that up there. And let's have a look, see. So, okay. There's one of these cliffs that is very tricky to actually see here. Looks like it might be. Oh no, here we can see it. Okay, I don't know what that was about. Right, so that's still the old one. We're gonna want to actually, before we switch the thing over, we're gonna want to make sure it has physics data. Blueprint Finery. Go back here. Oh, did I not save that? Apparently I did not. I guess I did not. Do that again, that's stupid. Okay, save, expand, and now that we tick the has physics, we can actually use that. So 10R, large cliff 10R. We can see we can see it doesn't quite match the mesh here, which indeed it should not. Collisions. It should match this one, which is the new version of the mesh, but we should not use that. We should use the block out gray. Let's find that. There we go. Boom. There's our mesh. Looking all fine. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the level and replace the big guy with that one now. Right, so large cliff 11 is the name of this. It's probably blocking some of this grass. I think it's blocking probably that one, large cliff 11. Right. Again, when we take that one, copy the transform, and we put in one of these new ones, paste it onto the same thing, get rid of the old one. Now we have this one, which is called large cliff 10R. Instead. There we go. So that looks all right. Yeah, like this is the thing that I want to definitely get rid of. I might actually get rid of this entire piece, you know, completely and completely redesign it. But this just doesn't look good. This is not according to the art style that I want to have. But one thing at a time. Right, yo, that's a small one. Let's do that next, and then we'll finish with end with that one, if we get that far. Like I said, I'm doing one at a time here. So that would be cliff 12. So we can just save that one and shut it down, and we can go to cliffs and work. Cliff 12. Cliff 12. Oh, I want to do one thing here. I want to do the large cliffs work. Large cliff 10, and then just delete those files because nothing is pointing to them anymore. Right. Cliff 9, same thing with that. Get rid of those. Cliff 10, yeah, I did that already. This is cliff 12. And so if we get rid of all the materials, and then get rid of all the images, and then we do a revert, yes. Now we don't have anything here, and we can again get rid of all of that. Bye-bye. Alright, this should be a relatively fast one to do. Such a small and simple one after all. Huh? There we go. So let's see what we have. Clear all the sharp faces to begin with, auto smooth, and then get going with this business again. Might actually see it here. Might have noticed that I'm actually merging upwards now. Except now I kind of messed up. Merging upwards now, the idea here is that I would have to modify the top part of this, the grass and all of that, as little as possible. That was kind of my thinking. What is this? That's weird. That must be some sort of weird mistake. These ones we can just merge down, just the way we used to do it before. It's not a problem. Merge all of that down, and that one as well. Yep. Here's just some unnecessarily complicated geometry, I guess, but we can leave it for now. Doesn't look too bad. Yep, I think that's it basically. This looks a little strange. What's going on here? Just merge that there, I guess. Something like that, maybe. And again, this is like stuff that I want to get rid of. That this looks like a box. All of a sudden, there's a there's a box in the middle of the cliff. Stuff like this has been annoying me, like nobody's business. It's a little less boxy, but it's still kind of boxy. Again, we're not gonna do a whole lot of that tonight. That's for tomorrow me to figure out. Is that actually that kind of slanted? Okay, somehow I had like managed to rotate the view a little bit there. It's actually kind of okay. Okay. Cool. That would be that. That's cliff 12. So cliff 12R. Basis mesh, Fport FBX. We'll see how that works. So go back here. I need to refresh. 12R. Yeah, clearly we managed to fix that crash though here in the asset browser. That's neat. That was an annoying thing. Need to remember to submit that piece of code as well. Okay. 12R and 12R and gray. All right, looking good, looking good. Save that and reload the backend. Render its light probes. So, right, cliff 23. That's blocking on cliff 22. That's probably that one. Yeah, that's cliff 22. And this thing is probably blocking on cliff 23 still. Yes, and the rest are the R ones that we already did. Good. Okay. So then we'll copy that to transform. We can search for 12R. Plonk that in there. Get rid of 23 and I somehow did that incorrectly. Drag it here onto the cliffs. Whoop. There we go. So copy full path. You should actually see the grass like adjusting slightly when I plonk it in here. Move downwards a little bit. Right, there's some funkiness here with the lighting. I don't think I'm gonna do anything about that right now because this thing will be modified still some more before we do anything, and then it's gonna be light mapped, and then I can finalize the lighting business there. But yeah, I think this is somehow already looking nicer, right? These cliffs again, they look nicer than this this monstrosity here. So that's okay. But okay, let's do the last one. Let's finish out the stream by giving this last piece here the same treatment, and then I'll have basically like all the meshes except this lower piece here. I have exchanged out for the new ones. And then it's just a matter of, well, I say just, it is a matter of redesigning them. Right, so this would be cliff 11. Cliff 11 is right here. Let's open that up. I'm gonna actually save and shut that down before I do anything else. More materials to get rid of. I could probably script a whole bunch of these things rather than having to do them over and over by hand. Things like creating the new textures I actually do through a script these days. Come on, go away. There we go. Yeah, create the new textures or images in Blender parlance using a script these days. That's kind of handy. I bet I could probably do some of this removal from a script as well, but I don't plan on redesigning any of the other levels cliffs, so hopefully I don't have to do anything like this during this project anymore. So it's kind of okay. Clear sharp, auto smooth, and off we go. This mesh is actually a little bit more kind of organic already to begin with. It's kind of nice. Kind of just turned out pretty nice. So might not have to do like a whole lot of stuff to this one, but something, a little something, I'm sure. That's just kind of weird. Maybe I should, I don't know. Let's get rid of it as well. Yeah, merging upwards again here. I think that's probably the better idea. All right. Right, something like that. This one needs to be marked sharp. There's a bevel thingy. And here's a bevel thingy. Whoops, that's not good. Just simplify it even more, and then I'm gonna add more detail by just again kit bashing, or whatever you want to call it, bashing a whole bunch of things into this. Again, similar to how we did things previously today and in the last stream, allowing for a lot of like intersecting geometry, that sort of thing. Not really worrying about that at all. And that's probably gonna look pretty nice when all is said and done. Some really strange solutions here with this topology in a few places. Don't exactly know what I was thinking. Like, what is this? What is this? What was I thinking? Did this? I don't know. Something like that. Merge those together. Or something. I don't know if this looks very good, but we'll figure it out tomorrow, I think. I think that'll be a tomorrow problem. Once again, very very boxy, blocky. No, I don't like it. I have to do something about that for sure. But yeah, it's kind of okay, I guess. Let's just get rid of some of that stuff. Just unnecessarily much geometry in some of these things. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Oh, hey, Matt. Thanks for joining. You've reached me just as I'm about to to end the stream, actually, for today. Just putting the final touches to today for these, or on these cliffs. Basically doing exactly what we did last time, just trying to kind of crunch myself through this task a little bit. But nice of you to check in, at least. It's been a pretty slow stream today, which is kind of what I was expecting, if we're being honest. Right, so let's do, that was 11R. And then do levels specific finery. And we'll do duplicate R, okay. Then bring that up to there. There we go. is. Okay, good, good, good. And we'll do the final reload for tonight. Now I think I removed all of the images, yes. All the materials. Be redoing those, so basically I can get rid of those images. So that's cliff number 22. Oh, it's cliff number 11 really, but it's called cliff 22, the object name. And this is being blocked by exactly and only that. So that's good. Oh, what was that? There's some weird flickering going on there. I think that was probably the grass reacting to the light probes being rendered. It sometimes causes flickering with the grass specifically, or with anything that samples the terrain color textures to be specific. Right, let's get rid of that and get the full path to that one. Plonk that in there. Just see the NVIDIA AI lighting demo. Interesting, but maybe not good in a way. But interesting, but maybe not in a good way at the moment. Ah. Yeah. Completely out of the loop when it comes to what they're doing currently. But yeah, being a little bit of an AI skeptic, I'm sure I would have my doubts as well. Yeah, sure, I'll see it sooner or later. Okay, so now we have all of the cliffs here, sort of like, you know, in the pipe. They're all using the new mesh. They've all been suitably simplified. Now they just need to be added a little bit of oomph according to the new art style. Made to look a little bit more like this, maybe. Although these are actually not super heavily redesigned from what we had before, but just like a little bit more kind of like irregularities and that sort of thing. And that'll be this level's art style, which is going to be a little different from something like the Depot, but I think we can live with that quite well. Oh, posted it in the Discord. Thanks. I'll be sure to check that out. Thank you. Glad to hear it. There's a little something strange there. Let's see. Can we actually? Oh, is that? Okay, yeah, that's actually a different mesh. Yeah, that's the what's it called? What's it called? It's 10R. So 10. Then we have it. Yeah, we have it here. That should probably just be going downwards instead, I feel. So 10R. Yoink. Oh, here's some beveling that I've missed. Let's de-bevel it while we're at it. That probably works. It completely changes the character's faces in a way that looks like a very generic AI filter. Yeah, that doesn't sound very good. So I guess NVIDIA is so deep in AI land now. They're gonna have to spin everything in a somewhat positive way, or they're gonna be in big trouble soon if the AI stuff doesn't pan out, right? I don't know. AI just kind of makes me depressed. Not a big fan. Rightio. I was thinking if I should bite the bullet and just do this long here. Final one here, and then we'll have essentially like everything when it comes to this refinery. I think maybe I'll do that while I'm at it, right? That would be cliff number 8. Oh no, they will go from making all the money to only most of the money. Yeah, exactly. That's like a nightmare scenario for them, right? Only making almost all of the money in the world. Like the valuation of Nvidia is just absolutely crazy, right? Valuation is like same as like a small European country or something at this point. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Not saying they aren't worth a lot of money, but like maybe not quite that much. Especially since AI isn't really, you know, bringing in any money. It's basically just eating money. Well, okay, it's bringing the money to them in the sense that they get to sell GPUs, right? But like AI services, stuff like that, like generally doesn't really make any money as far as I know. You know, OpenAI running at a loss. I don't know how it is with Anthropic these days. But like most AI doesn't actually make any money. Most sort of end user AI products don't really make any money. As far as I know. I may be wrong though. Yeah, okay, this is a reasonably complex mesh, but I don't think it should be very tricky to do this. So I'm gonna again clear all the sharps. We're gonna enable auto smooth, and then it's mostly again a question of undoing these bevels here. So let's actually whoop. Do remember that GDP is the amount of money moves around in a country in a year, so very different market cap. Absolutely, yeah. It can't quite be compared. I know. It's just, you know, thinking about like the kind of sums we're talking about here is just absolutely ridiculous. It's like monopoly money, right? Doesn't mean anything anymore when it's those kinds of quantities. I don't know, what can I say? That I'm happy that we're living in a world now where you can quite easily have like a 5-year-old GPU and play games pretty reasonably still. Because if you needed to upgrade your GPU every year or every other year to play games, then I would not be able to play any recent games probably. Although I did upgrade the GPU in this machine somewhat recently actually. But that was just mostly because one of my kids needed a new GPU, so I gave them my old one and got a 9060 XT for this one. Honestly, I don't think I even have necessarily the PSU for an NVIDIA card or the physical space necessarily. I think my case might not even fit one of those 5090 monsters. That's perspective I don't get with some people. Very old stuff complaining they can't play new stuff maxed out. 1000 series was great, but it's very, very old now. That's just ancient history at this point, right? I mean, if you're complaining that you can't play with NAT, then I don't know what to tell you. Like 1000 series, isn't that from like, what is that, like 2017 or something like that? Maybe even earlier, 2016? Things from like 2016, 2017 or something. That would be like 10 years old. I do have an old 9080 which I used actually for quite a long time. And that 9080 was from 2014. So I think that the 1000 series was like the next big thing after the 900 series. So that would have been in like 2016 or 2017. So it's that would be almost 10 years old. So yeah, if you're complaining that you can't play that, play newest games maxed out on that, you know, I don't know what to tell you, man. Right. here's some more pebbles. Ah, what am I missing out? I want it to be merged at the last one here. That's what I want. Not first, but last. Let's do last. Maybe merge this down that one as well. Okay, let's see. I do think there are a bunch of people who got into PC gaming in the pandemic, though, and are now hitting the upgrade cycle for the first time, so that may be causing some friction. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe that's an interesting thought, like it might be that you had a bunch of people who, I mean, if you kind of in an upgrade cycle, then that would kind of suggest that you're somewhat invested. You're some kind of enthusiast. If you actually have like an update cycle to think about, most people don't have that, and they just, like, a lot of people got into gaming over the pandemic. So that was an awesome time to work for a games company. But a lot of those played very casually, and then they kind of stopped playing. But yeah, for the people who kind of maybe had already been playing games previously, and they kind of like their spark got like relit by the pandemic or whatever you want to call it. Those are the ones that who might actually now be kind of actually having an upgrade cycle, if you want to call it that. And for them, yeah, I guess you're right that it would be around this time that they would be feeling the need to upgrade. I do wonder how much of that was actually PC though, and how much of it was console or mobile or some other platform that doesn't really have sort of upgrade needs in the same sense. It's got actually a hole. Look at that. I've made a boo-boo. I didn't even realize. There's a hole in the rock. Bad game. Clearly a bad game. Okay. Alrighty then. Let's go with this. And this is cliff 8. Yeah, so that would be cliff 8 R. I'm actually thinking that me doing this now is actually a very, very good thing, because it's felt sort of like a pretty big thing to just do one of these, like open up these things and doing all of this cleanup, and me just doing like a whole bunch of this cleanup now at once, I think is a pretty good idea. I should probably do something similar for the rest of the level, where after I have this refinery done, I will sort of take a few of those meshes that make up the borders of the level or whatever, and where's the thing? It's down here actually. Okay. Yeah, take a few of those that make up the border of the level and actually clean them up like this. Just do like the mechanical part. Oh, that. Oh, okay, that's material. Never mind then. Yeah. So just do block out array. Yeah. That kind of works, at least for now. Cool. Here, and this is Cliff 18 is the name of it, and I bet that is probably the object that, yes, it is blocking on Cliff 18. Good. So we're gonna do this. Is now gonna be the final one because I ran out of meshes here that involve this refinery, and it's getting pretty late here, so I need to end soon. But it was nice of you people to come hang out a little bit. I've said it multiple times today, but bears repeating. This was sort of a pretty important stream, all things considered. It wasn't perhaps necessarily the most riveting content today, but like I've said, I think this is actually a very important stream in the sense that I just need to get this freaking thing done. It's been kind of difficult for me to have the motivation to do it. Streams like this definitely help. And just kind of like turn off your brain, do the work, sit down, do the work, and good things will happen to those who sit down and do the work. Okay, cool. So tomorrow I will start looking at this and probably simplifying it in some ways and making it more complicated, complifying it, if you will, in other ways. What is that? That's a funky funk. Let's see if we can fix that. Otherwise I'm gonna forget about it. Close that down. Was that number 10? That's large cliff number 10. What is this? Okay, so it's that one. Let's just merge it with that one. I think that should probably do it. We should get rid of that thing. Yeah, there we go. High octane cliff productivity, yeah. Yeah. What I really should have here to make my life easier is some sort of like cliff kit that I could use to smash these things together. I've tried doing that though in the past, and it has been surprisingly tricky to work like that. I guess I'm not experienced enough to do that or something. I don't exactly know. But it's been kind of tricky actually to do that for me. It hasn't really worked out all that well. Except you could maybe argue that that is sort of what I'm doing when I'm using pieces of previous meshes to like flesh out these new meshes. So, yeah, in a sense, I guess. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. This is anyway pretty good stuff that I've done today. What is that actually? Okay, just as a face that goes that way. All right, well, we'll think about it a little bit. And here's something kind of strange as well, but I'll look at that tomorrow. So yeah, this was a good idea to just do like the very basics for all of these, because now it's like the threshold to actually start modifying one of these now is much lower. So that was a good thing. So I should do the same thing for these really big ones. And we have basically just the rest of these sides now, because all of these smaller ones that are here in the middle of the level are actually done. That's nice. Oh yeah, we have we have a few of them here in the inside of the lift station still, but they're pretty small. Coolio. I think we're done for today, people. Thanks to everyone who came to hang out. If you want to play the game, do join the Discord. There's a link in the description below. You can play Pre-Alpha 4 today. Get a Steam playtest key from the Discord if this looks cool. And remember to like, subscribe both to this channel and to the main channel, which you can also find a link to on the live stream channel. And I guess that's it. Have an excellent rest of your day, and see you next time.